All right, let's go back to our top story after federal finance minister and deputy prime minister Chrystia Freeland announced her resignation today. To dig into more about what Prime Minister Justin Trudeau may be thinking right now, we're joined by former Liberal MP and Parliamentary Secretary to Trudeau, Adam Vaughan. Adam, thank you so much for being with us today.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, of course. What a day. So this letter that Chrystia Freeland tweeted out, catching many off guard, including Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. What do you think this level of concern, or what do you think the level of concern is inside the Prime Minister's office at this hour?
Well, it's very, very significant letter and a very significant set of developments. When your deputy prime minister, your most trusted member of cabinet, and the person who today was supposed to rise in the House and deliver the fall economic statement steps away from the government and criticizes not only the prime minister, but the prime minister's policy and sort of platform preparation heading towards what is likely an election in the 2025 year. I don't think you can be dealt a more serious blow by a member of your caucus and your cabinet. So this is extraordinarily serious. In fact, I was a journalist for 25 years. I've never seen anything like this at any provincial legislature or in any parliament. This is unprecedented.
So going back to this letter here, what does this do to the Liberal Party, and also the focus on Prime Minister Justin Trudeau as a leader and continuing in his position when he has two prominent MPs, or I should say two prominent cabinet ministers, announcing that they're stepping down from their cabinet roles here?
Well, there have been significant vacancies in the cabinet since the summer. It's not just Randy Bosno stepped away. There are several spots open in cabinet for one reason or another, and they haven't been filled. And during the recent sort of caucus sort of revolt, to the extent that it was a revolt was occurring, those open chairs around the cabinet table were sort of used to keep people in line. And the prime minister has now come to a position where he was going to start to fill them. But he also clearly had a major disagreement on financial policy and tax policy with his finance minister and deputy prime minister. And as he's trying to sort out who was going to sit where, all hell has broken loose around the cabinet table and inside the prime minister's office. So it's significant for the party. It's significant for caucus. It's significant for cabinet. It's significant for the country. And you can't understate that. When your deputy prime minister loses confidence in you as a prime minister, you have to wonder how many other MPs are underneath that pyramid of concern that is now being focused squarely on the prime minister. I really having spoken to a couple of my former colleagues up on the Hill today, the government lobby is in chaos. Ministers had a meeting today, but they are silent. There have been regional caucus meetings called for this afternoon. The FES, the fall economic statement, was supposed to be read in the House. MPs were supposed to get a briefing from the government side ahead of time. That was canceled. I talked to someone in the House leadership office. They are running around trying to figure out what files, what forms, what pieces of paper, what chairs, what seats need to be rearranged in order to get the House up and running again this afternoon with a cabinet in full sort of order. This is significant. Parliament works when there is order, and there is clearly disorder. It's on the Prime Minister's shoulders. And by coincidence, tonight, the Liberal Party, all of its members, it's a big party. The Liberal Party, literally the Christmas party, is happening in Ottawa tonight, and you couldn't have more. Every riding president practically has been invited. Every member of every riding association. You've got former MPs, former cabinet ministers. The Liberal Trust is in Ottawa today, and it is just one of panic, confusion, and bewilderment, and a lot of anger at the Prime Minister. I think the Prime Minister has a very, very serious conversation he had to have with himself and his chief of staff. And if they haven't had that conversation yet, it better bloody well be underway.
And to you and our viewers, we've had our cameras on Parliament Hill all morning long looking to get reaction. And let me just tell you that not a single minister has commented on this aside from Anita Anand ahead of this meeting here, just giving a really brief statement. Adam, I want to ask you about the timing of Chrystia Freeland's announcement and the letter here. You mentioned the fall economic statement. You have the threat of tariffs here and the discussions underway with the Prime Minister calling for a united front here. And then you have the holidays, I should mention, too. How do you make sense of Chrystia Freeland's timing here? She says that she was told on Friday by the Prime Minister that he no longer wanted her to serve as finance minister. Are we reading too much into her making this announcement today?
No. You're not reading anything into it. It is what it is. And I think you have to strip away a couple of those things. First of all, the threat of the tariffs has been announced on Twitter. It has not been announced by a president yet of the United States. Obviously, Trump is president-elect. So that can the immediacy of the impact and the need to work on that is not front and center today. It will be literally tomorrow. But I think the issue is today is he has got to get a cabinet around the table, and he has got to show the House that he can govern and has the confidence of the House, quite frankly, let alone the confidence of his caucus and his cabinet. I'm not sure he feels that secure at the moment, and that's probably why everyone is a little bit quiet. On Friday, what was happening was that there was a number of MPs had been given notice to get their security clearances in order to become a member of cabinet or even a parliamentary secretary. You have to file a whole series of financial disclosure forms, plus get your background check done by CSIS and the RCMP. That process has been underway for about 3 weeks. But clearly he had come to a decision about who was going to sit where at the cabinet table. And clearly Freeland was asked not to be finance minister for whatever reason. But it also seems that Freeland in that letter has signaled that the challenge that she encountered, or the pill that she couldn't swallow from a policy perspective, was the $250 set of checks that were set to go out to Canadians, something which just got through the House, and there was a parting of the ways in terms of the financial structure of the budget and the way the government is operating. Freeland clearly disagreed with the Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister disagreed with her. They have agreed to disagree, but she has taken it one step further by stepping right away from caucus in a move very reminiscent of what happened to Jody Raybould-Wilson back at an earlier scandal in the first term. So there has been a parting of the on the how to manage the economy. How to has broken from the Prime Minister for the first time in my life, in my memory. I don't think she ever has. She's been without a doubt, the most loyal minister. I served in Parliament with her before we were in government. We both got elected in by-elections running up to that government, and she has been right there every step of the way, backing the Prime Minister and providing policy analysis and policy support for him. And she has never, ever shown this sort of daylight between her and the Prime Minister. Is she setting herself up for a leadership bid? Possibly. We can talk about that another day. Right now, the question is, how does the Prime Minister survive this? Who does he bring into cabinet? And I can tell you right now that some of the names that are floating around are really angering backbench MPs. Nadia Smith, for example, has been named as a possible contender for housing. He had announced he wasn't running, which means those that had committed to running the next election have been passed over by people who were planning to leave. What message does that send? Nadia Smith has also disagreed with government policy time and time again. In fact, I don't think you'll find a government member who has stepped away from government policy and free votes more than Nadia Smith has. So backbench MPs are feeling betrayed by the rumors, not necessarily yet to come true. Cabinet ministers are confused by what roles they're being offered, and so it is complete chaos.
Adam, I'm just going to interrupt you here. I'm so sorry. Thank you so much for being with us. Pierre Poilievre is speaking right now, so we're going to get to that live. Thank you so much, Adam Vaughan.